Hello everyone. Today we will talk about the God of War HDR settings. If you are watching this video, then you probably already know that it is a big problem to correctly configure the HDR in this game. The in-game settings are not clear, and the game does not seem to use the HDR system settings. Let's try to figure it out. Step 1. Enable the correct color range. In the PlayStation settings menu, you can see the options Full Limit, Auto. Try to select all the options and watch. If the image does not change, there is no dimming of the display when switching the mode, then the console in HDR mode with your TV always works in limit mode. In this case, set any PlayStation mode in the system settings, but be sure to turn on the limit mode in the settings of your TV. This can also be called the black level. Look carefully. If the full limit modes switch correctly, then set the auto mode in your TV and in the PlayStation settings, for example, full or auto. Why is it important? With an incorrectly set range, your TV will not understand correctly in which mode it displays the image. The black level may not be correct, the black in the game looks gray. Often people ask why the colors in the game are blurry. Incorrect range is a common reason. Once you've figured it out, step 2. Turn off tone mapping on your TV. Not HGIG, not DTM. The tone mapping modes are needed for cases when you cannot adjust HDR of the game. In this case, your TV does the transformation of the entire input signal by adjusting the image on your TV. But if you can customize the HDR of the game, then such a transformation will interfere and make the setting incorrect. As for other TV settings, you should not change the TV settings for each game individually. It is not right. Step 3. Finally, go to the game settings. You see two options, brightness and contrast. Setting this up is causing the problem. The main point of HDR settings is to do so that the peak brightness level of the game matches the maximum brightness of your TV. Also, the black level of the game should match the black level of your TV. Take a look at the wavescope example. This shows the brightness of the image. Start with the contrast option. When the contrast is changed, the entire signal range, that is, the upper and lower boundaries, changes. Set the contrast value so that in the first picture the dark objects are as dark as possible. But at the same time, you could clearly see the details in the shadow, such as stones. If the contrast value is too high, the entire area in the shadow will be dark. If the value is too low, then black will be gray and all colors washed out. Also pay attention to Kratos' clothes. It should be contrasting, but you can see the texture of the coat in his clothes. Next, we will adjust the brightness. Adjusting the brightness is simple. It determines the peak brightness. When you change the value, you see that the upper limit of the signal is changing. Somewhere there is the brightness level of your TV. Look at the brightest area, the light from the sun. If the brightness values are low, then the light in the sky is dim. If it is too large, then the entire area is a single light. It is not right. The light from the sun should be bright, but you should be able to see the details of the sky up close. Also pay attention to this snow. The snow should not glare like a spotlight and should not be very bright. The algorithm seems simple, but the problem is that changing one parameter breaks another. That is, you set the lower limit of the black level using contrast, but this also changes the upper limit of the peak brightness. Next, you adjusted the peak brightness using the brightness option, but the black level was disturbed. You probably guessed what to do? Adjust the black level using contrast, then peak brightness using the brightness option, then go back and adjust the black level using contrast, then peak brightness again using the brightness option. Repeat this until you are satisfied with the result in the dark and light areas. One more nuance. With certain settings, you can see a color artifact in the sky, an abrupt color transition. It doesn't have to be. Change the parameters so that the red line disappears. Step 4. Finally take a look at the game. You can see that even though the test image looked great, the game image did not look good enough. The colors are washed out, the light is dull. Find areas where dark and light areas are visible at the same time. Go back to the settings and try changing the parameters, going back to the game and observing the result. The algorithm is the same. The dark areas should be dark enough, but you could see details in the shadow, and the light areas, for example, fire, were bright, but you could see the details nearby. I hope you will be able to configure it correctly. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe to the channel. Bye.